Batman issue number 6, and this issue I found to be a really good issue. I like this one's all about. It's kind of like setting things up, and it's kind of giving you a new status quo where all the characters are at the end. I like that. I really like this issue, and there are these two scenes that really stood out for me, and it's dealing with the Robins, but I'll talk about that at the very end. Semi at the end because there's the whole Joker thing at the end, but the whole thing with Hugo Swains, because it got revealed in this issue that the motorcycle gang that were trying to kill Dr. Zeller in the previous issue was one of like the group henchmen who works for the villain for this arc, or the villain for like the one with the massive deer head. His henchman works for Hugo Strange, and Hugo Strange is not happy, and because of it, Hugo Strange is going to release the Monster Men again. And I get it. It's Hugo Strange, so it's a temptation to do the Monster Men. I get you. But is it really needed? I mean, I can kind of in my head thinking this is set up by issue 8 or 9 or 10 or where have you, it's going to work. It's going to make me go, oh, this is why this was here in issue 6. This is why. This is the reason why, ladies and gentlemen. This is the reason why. But at this point in time, I'm a little bit like, okay, I get it. You had a whole issue last month with no Batman, and people might be a little bit like, where's Batman? This is a Batman comic. Where's Batman? And I'm like, guys, Spider-Man didn't really show up in Ultimate Spider-Man until like issue 7, so shut up. The scenes that really stood out to me was the two scenes with the Robins. There's a scene with Damian, and there's a scene with Tim. The Damian scene as a whole, I love because, okay, so in last issue, Damian pops up, kicks the remaining ninjas, and he goes and says, we have, blah 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 father. In the Robin outfit, not noticing that Dr. Zeller is still with Bruce. So Zeller knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, right? So, naturally, Bruce is a little bit pissed. And it is kind of nice to see a pissed off Bruce Wayne towards Damian. Because anytime I see Bruce trying to discipline Damian, it is like the most, like, you shouldn't do that. Son, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. That is not our way. We understand you were trained by the League of Assassins, but this is not our way. Like, that's kind of been the way it has been written, right? In the past. This time, it is just Bruce really saying to Damian, you think you know everything. You think you are higher money because you're the actual blood relative. You're actually the biological son. That your father's Batman. Your daughter, your mother is Talia Ghul, and your grandfather is Ra's al Ghul. In the League of Assassins, all kind of stuff. You think you're hot shit, and you think you know everything, but fucking hell, man, you're 10 years old. You know fucking shit. But I was like, oh my god, finally. And then, by the end of this issue, it feels like we're getting a bit of an arc. Maybe the whole thing is Damian is going to mature. Damian is going to, by the end of the Faction 1, Damian's going to be a whole different new character. Or we're going to see his revolution. By the way, I love the scene between Bruce and Tim. Another scene with the Robins. the scene between Bruce and Tim is absolutely amazing, because what you have is showing Bruce's relationships, how he approaches each woman, how as much he is Mr. Dark and bougie and all that kind of stuff, he is still a mentor. He's still a student. He's still the big boy. He's still a father to these people, these kids that he raised. So having the scene with Tim basically saying, "Look, I'm getting my ass beaten all the time. I'm getting bruises. I have a partner now who is like way sick of me, and they don't know why I'm, they're seeing my back covered in bruises. This is something I never had to worry about because I'm in a relationship with someone who's in this life or whatever, but this is the first time that I'm experiencing I'm in a relationship with someone who doesn't know about me being Robin or, being a vigilante and all that kind of stuff. And I have two choices. Keep doing what I'm doing. Well, actually, three choices. To keep doing what I'm doing, bring them into this life, or step away. And he chooses the third option. Tim decides to step away. And how Bruce handles it, he's like, and look, Richard Grayson, did the same thing, but, so it's probably a little bit easier on him, but, easy on him this time, but I just really, the scene where he's just like, hey, what's the reason we do this for? You go home, you can come back anytime. Hopefully you don't, because we know what this life is. And then the big hug. Like, Tim just gives him a big hug. Of course, Bruce is like, I'm not a huggy person. Like, we all understand that, right? Like, I'm not a huggy person. And he's like, Tim's like, just shut up and hug me. I was like, oh, that's good. And what adds to the Damien thing, and it feels like Damien's going to have a kind of a redemption arc, or not a redemption arc, but a change of an arc, or a different characterization, is the line where, Damien's like, you're a cheater, you're a quitter, Drake, how dare you, I'm not going to hang out with you, blah, 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 blah. And Tim's like, dude, I know right now it feels like everything's about life is about the Batcave and that's it. But you're gonna slowly realize one day it's gonna be more than that, and hopefully one day you find that out very soon. And I'm like, yeah, well, Damien's gonna be a different character by the end of the faction arc. There's just too many clues. There's just too many things that happen in this arc, that in this one issue, that just hints that we're gonna have a different Damien by the end of this by the end of this one. Now the final thing is with Joker. With the last couple of pages with Joker. Him in a tube. What's going on there? Like, what happened in the Chip Zdarsky one? Like, what happened in Joker Wars? Like, what happened to him being in a tube? That's interesting. And him being all friendly. It kind of does give me a little bit of a Dark Knight Returns vibe. But I'm intrigued. And it's also quite interesting with Joker now, because the whole death of the family thing, with he knows the entire Bat family. He knows their identity. And it's interesting to have that extra layer where he's asking Zell about, like, oh, how was your day? How does it go? I have a best friend, but he's coming out soon. There's probably is just an extra layer to it, where he knows, Joker knows Bruce Wayne is Batman, but he doesn't care about it. He doesn't see Bruce. He cares about Batman. So him saying, "Oh, my friend's coming soon," or wherever the line was, I'm like, yeah, but I'm interested. I'm very interested at the idea of Joker, like, burned himself injured himself that much that he's in a tube. So that's quite interesting. But anyway, if you read the issue, comment below and let me know your thoughts.